Hello, hello.
Hi, lady.
Hey,
Hey,
Michelle.
Michelle.
Hey,
Hi.
Vic. See some hand waving?
Oh man, I want Vicky's background. I want that back. Send that over to me, girl.
Ain't that the best?
Jessica.
Well, the countdown is on to the 80s ladies in the trades
I
party.
know.
But all right. Well, hello everyone. Happy Wednesday. Tuesday. I get used to saying Wednesday from the lounge, but it's Tuesday. We can't be jumping ahead that quickly. But hope everyone is having a fantastic week thus far. We've got a really special treat today with our guest speaker, Lori Scholl. But before we kick it off, I want to give a special thank you to our Spotlight Series sponsor, Power Selling Pros. And so we actually have a quick message from them that I want to share with you guys because they've been really beneficial for a lot of our Lady Titans here. So let's watch this short video here.
Hey, Lady Titans, it's Spring with Power Sling Pros. We're excited about the opportunity to support you and support your group. As you know, Power Sling Pros train CSRs one-on-one twice a month using their own phone calls. We change cultures. We reduce CSR turnover. And of course, we help business owners make a whole lot of money. So be thinking about us as we appreciate and are grateful for the opportunity to support you. Go Lady Titans.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Power Selling Pros, for supporting Lady Titans and women in the trades, and for us to be able to bring some really impactful content to the Spotlight series. So, from Power Selling Pros, we have Barry Gates. Hey, Barry.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me back.
Yes.
Super excited to hear Lori today.
Yes, Lori is the best, but I just want to give another little shout out plug to Power Selling Pros. I subscribe to your guys' newsletter that I get, every few days, a couple times a week, and so much good content in there and lots of like thought provoking questions that I always find a lot of value from. And so, I think anybody could sign up, whether you're a CSR or not. I think you can find a lot of valuable content. And so, Barry, how would someone maybe get that newsletter, or how could they maybe get more information about Power Selling Pros, or maybe just to connect with you?
Yeah, you know what I'll do is I'll put my email in the chat. You guys can reach out to me if you want to even just send me your email. You can send it direct to me and I'll get you guys subscribed. If you want more information, just shoot me an email and say, hey, I want more information. So either way, feel free to reach out to me and I'll get you taken care of.
Awesome. Well, Barry's putting his information down there in the chat. If you guys are just slightly interested, want to just kick the tires of how maybe Power Selling Pros could help you guys, definitely reach out. And I know they can do some amazing things for you and your company. So I'm so excited to introduce our Spotlight Series guest this month. Part of me feels like she needs no introduction at all, and that is very true. But just in case someone isn't familiar with her, I'm so happy to introduce Lori Scholl. She is a respected figure in the HVAC and construction industries with over 35 years of entrepreneurial experience. She has successfully led the growth of her company, Eagle Pipe and Mechanical, in Paulsbo, Washington. Lori's dedication to her profession and philanthropy has earned her numerous accolades, including Woman of Influence Award in the New York Business Journal in 2010, Service Nation Woman of the Year in 2022, and the Boundless Benefactor Award in 2023. She is also a certified Maxwell Leadership executive coach. Beyond managing her company, Lori serves as the president of Women in HVACR and the Jefferson County Builders Association, and an advisory board moderator of AB 80 and the state chapter president of Women in Plumbing and Piping. So Lori is a force to be reckoned with. She is a friend to everyone that meets her, but can make moves, make hard decisions, and really drive the ship forward. And so she has a really cool story, has done lots of really cool things in her life. And so today her presentation is making moves that matter. And I think no one better to talk on that subject than Lori Scholl. So, Lori, thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's so good to be with everyone. Very Power Selling Pros. We think you guys are amazing and so many friendly faces. It's been a while. I love to get on this, and I actually have a habitat meeting at the same time. So I'm trying to roll off that habitat board so I can do more. But I'm really excited to be here with you folks. A lot of people have already heard my story. So I apologize if you've heard it for the second or third time, but we're going to change it up a little bit today and also have some and questions. I said to Emily, I'm so honored because I have been in this HVAC space, and now I added plumbing about a year ago, since about 2015. So people will say, you're a pioneer in the industry. And I'm like, well, I don't have a stagecoach, that's for darn sure. And when Emily talks about 35 years, that's really being an entrepreneur. And so I have something funny to share with you. I kind of gave Emily a preview, because when you look at it, it's going to be you will not see this anywhere else. So that's going to be the treat that you will be. That's what you will be in for. But it's called Making Moves That Matter. And I think one of the things when I accepted Service World Woman of the Year, Matt Michelle, when he introduced the award, and he said a serial entrepreneur. And I think that kind of describes a lot of the moves that I have made during my lifetime, which I'm getting up there in age, ladies. It's going to be moving in on another serious birthday here next month. But making moves that matter. So I just wanted to kind of do a brief little slideshow and have lots of good questions and conversations along the way. So always, Emily, if there's anything in the chat, or someone has a question, I don't know if you normally like just raise your hand, however you want to do that. I'm totally open for it.
Awesome.
So let's start off. All right. So I thought this would probably be one of the funniest things that you will see all day today. Okay. Now, I'm putting myself out there, but the whole point of this is that when I was growing up, if you look at that, a couple of my employees said sweet. Where did that word come in? They never described me as sweet. But the whole point was, this was a girl who needs confidence. And she was too willing to follow her friends. And sensitive, that was the other word. Sweet and sensitive doesn't really go with my name, but I think the confidence part does. And so I just wanted to point that out, as a lot of folks start into, their lives, they change pretty dramatically in regards to personalities. And a lot of it has to do with their training. So one of the things that I really want to highlight is confidence. And again, don't wait until everything is just right. It'll never be perfect. And I think a lot of us tend to wait until things are absolutely perfect before we want to make a move. I've got a great story in the HVAC space of when I started my company. I went ahead, driving down the road, guy calls me, and Eagle Pipe Heating and Air, how can I help you? Because I'm answering phones, driving down the road, and he says to me, hey, does your company do X, Y, and Z? And I'm like, absolutely. We are so good at that. Went on and on to tell him how great and we would love to do it. The minute I hung up the phone, I called my lead guy and I said, what is this? Like, I don't even know what this is. And he knew exactly. And so it's one of those moves that, you have to be careful with it, but I took a chance, and we ended up getting a very large job out of it with one of the public utility companies. So here again, it was the confidence. I figured out if we didn't know how to do it, I would go find somebody or hire somebody, and we could make it happen. So confidence is absolutely huge. So a lot of you have heard my story before. This started back, I joined Women in HVACR probably right out of the gate. I opened up my company. I'm 100% woman owned. I started my company. I did not buy my company. I started it and have been building it from the ground up. And I'll go into my background a little bit, but I would have people say, well, what's your story? So I walked into the very first Women in HVACR event that I attended. It was in Colorado. It was in Denver. And I went by myself because I was looking in that space to say, where can I connect and network with people who can train me about the trades? I know nothing. My background, when I talk about my McDonald's career, I did a lot with construction and new building, but that was as a McDonald's franchisee. I was better at cooking hamburgers than I was, replacing belts on the roof on my system. So people would say to me, so what's your story? So I'm like, I have to develop one because, if you ask yourself, what is your story? So I said, well, I was burgers to bangles to pipes. a lifelong lesson in business. And people right away, they're like, what the heck? What does one have to do with another? Well, I have to tell you, it all works. So let's start this little bit of a journey. Okay, check it out. 1977. Okay, when's the last time you've seen one of those McDonald's uniforms? If ever. So I went from being a 16-year-old, my first job at McDonald's at the front counter, which this then turned me into, I was the hostess. And so I would put on that little uniform. I would go to work at 10 o'clock. I would put on nice clothes and I would be in the lobby in the McDonald's restaurant. I'd be pouring coffee. How was your day? What can we get for you? And then that would get done. And then I would go back, put on my uniform, and I'd be back on the grill. So that's how I started. When the next part shows you new McDonald's owners knows the business, that's when I opened up my very first McDonald's. And when I opened it up, it was a McDonald's in a Chevron gas station, and it was brand new. And so you see some of those um, on the highway as you travel. And for me, I went in 100%, didn't have a manager, opened it up, started running it, made enough money that I ended up buying some in New York. And so that kind of really started. But keep in mind, I went from that 16-year-old crew person to now owning my first McDonald's. And these are a couple other pictures. I go, oh, I like those days when, I used to look that way. Times have changed. That was about 1997. So how do I get to where I'm at? Perseverance. There is success. It's not by accident. You have to go after it. You have to really want to work at it. I can remember when I bought all my restaurants in Buffalo, New York, I would wake up every morning and say, I owe $3 million. You better believe I got my butt out of bed very quickly to say, I owe $3 million. Well, thank God at the end of 7 years, I no longer owed $3 million, but I did have a $10 million company after the amount of time that I invested. Perseverance. I go into Buffalo, New York. I purchased a large travel plaza built over the New York State Thruway. I want to talk about making lemonade out of lemons. It is a huge concept that's built where you have tunnels going down both sides. You can park 500 cars on the eastbound and you can park 500 cars on the westbound. If you've ever traveled I-90 from Chicago, Cleveland into New York City or into Toronto, this is one of the areas that I had. And I was lucky enough to be the franchisee where I took my McDonald's restaurants and then I built a whole bunch of other concepts that we put in. So we put in a pizza and a pasta panini shop. We put in a Lavazza coffee shop. We put 8 coffee carts together, built it out. That little thing was doing $1 million a year in coffee.
Wow.
And so you want to talk about perseverance, that's what it would take, because I go into Buffalo, I go ahead, I work this business extremely hard. At the same time, I had this travel plaza. I had also purchased 3 other restaurants. And so 2 were inner city. When I say inner city, unless you've been to inner city of Buffalo, New York, or inner city of Chicago, or some of these other places across the country, it's very hard to imagine what it's like doing business in these areas. These are all empowerment zones. So I look at it as a total opportunity. It wasn't just because of the tax credit, which certainly helped out a lot, but we were really working within the communities, helping charter schools, working with homeless kids that, they didn't have any food and we would be happy to provide them. A blizzard hits Buffalo, New York, and where are the school buses going to go? They're trapped. They can't get the kids back to the school. They can't get the kids back home. We opened up our McDonald's restaurant and we had all the kids coming in. So, it's things like that that really, I think, make a difference in terms of what we can do into the communities. So perseverance, doing something despite difficulty or delayed in achieving success. I went into Buffalo thinking that I could down, have rebuild it. Go ahead, went in looking for my buyer, and instead of my 7 years, it took me 11. So when I was coming up on the end of that 11 years, it took me every day to say, yes, I want to go into inner city. Yes, I want to make sure that when we are robbed today, I will have the strength to take my crew and make sure they are safe and continue on and open up business. So I think about some of the restaurants that I had, we would have bars on our windows. So that was where I was doing business. So at maybe 7 or 8 o'clock at night, again, depending upon how the customers were, we would make a decision if we're going to put those bars, and we would make a decision in the morning when we would take those bars off the windows. Because if not, people would jump through the drive-through windows, they would hold up the restaurants. And so that was what I would consider a tough environment. But on the upside of that, businesses were very successful. I was able to do a lot of things within Buffalo, and I was lucky enough to be nominated for Woman of Influence. And you think about it, from New York, I was shocked when they asked me, and I said, okay. And one of the things they asked me what my biggest influence was, and I said, strong work ethic, though he had unwavering dedication to career and family, and even served as my fry guy at my McDonald's. So as I was growing up, my father worked 2 jobs, and a lot of it was because he wanted to provide for his family. He also wanted to make sure that we would have whatever we needed. And I think I get a lot of the work ethic from him because I will just go and do whatever it takes. So I think those were all great influences. But this award meant a lot to me. Not too many folks are chosen, and I was lucky enough to be one of them. So the journey continues. So I create this $10 million company and I retire. And I'm like, okay, sold my company. Took me all this time to find a buyer. And I moved back to my Washington state. So I went from the Midwest to the West. I went to the East. Now I was finally happy to go back to the West. I can live anywhere in the world, and I choose to live right where I do in Washington state. So took off about 1.5 years, and I said, oh, what should I do? I'm like, retired. That's not my DNA. So I had purchased a home in Henderson, Nevada, outside of the Vegas Strip, out by Lake Las Vegas. And I actually did it because my brother was working businesses down there. And I said, well, hey, let me help you out. Let me get this house lined up for you. So I was traveling in and out of McCarran Airport. And I'm like, Pandora, well, I like jewelry. So I found out they franchised. I'm like, well, why would I not want to do Pandora jewelry? It's beautiful baubles. It's great quality, and it's something I can buy into. So I will say this was probably not my best business move, but at the time it felt great because I'm not a super huge fan of retail. And that's what I discovered after owning Pandora jewelry stores for 7 years. So the interesting part here was I found out they could franchise. I submitted an application, figured they'd call me. I just sold my company and had a couple dollars in the bank. And I said to the guy, well, I'm not going to be back into the country for about another 30 days. I was going to Tibet because I was traveling the world. He said, great. When you come back, come out to Baltimore. So I did. Got on a plane, went to Baltimore, went in, they interviewed me. They said, we have never hired anybody that hasn't had a jewelry background. I said, I've got lots of jewelry. I buy jewelry all over the world, but it's for me. So it was very unusual for them to take a chance. But again, they were looking at my financial statements. So I mean that kind of tells you the story. They said, "Where would you like to have a store?" And I said, "I'd love to stay in the West. What can I do? Can I, purchase around Seattle? What can I do?" And they said, "Well, we just had Ben Bridge, which is a large chain jewelry store out here on the West Coast. They just cut a deal with us." And I said, "Oh." And they said, "Well, Warren Buffett owns them." And I said, "Well, what's the problem? That you want to talk about confidence? I'm telling these guys, well, Warren Buffett or me, there's no question." So Ben Bridge happened to win, and I ended up doing business in Salt Lake City and Boise, Idaho. Because at the time, those were the locations that were available. So I went in full speed ahead, went in, opened my first one in Salt Lake, which is right outside of the city. Anybody from Utah? It was at the Fashion Place Mall. And then within a month, I opened up my Boise Town Square. The picture on the right is actually a picture of the store. So these were concept stores. Years ago, when Pandora started out, came to North America, you bought a little bunch of beads and baubles, and you were a jewelry store, and you'd go ahead and you would sell this stuff. Well, people started making a lot of money. They started really advertising, promoting it, being one of the top brands across not only North America, but really Denmark and different parts of the world. So by the time I went to go in, it was you were going to purchase it was called a concept store. We only sold Pandora. So one of my business, I think, mistakes that I made was not investigating it enough to understand that I'd be putting out $500,000 in inventory. And wait a minute, that was in August, and I couldn't necessarily sell until November because, again, you're purchasing all your inventory so many months in advance. Or you would go in and you would see absolute beautiful display cases full of jewelry. Well, that money's not sitting in your bank. It's sitting there waiting for somebody to purchase. This picture where it shows us in the pink shirts, here again, it was community commitment. We joined in for the Coleman Breast Cancer Walk. We went in with one of the other Pandora franchisees, and what he ended up doing was going ahead and I would say he made sure that he did not want to continue with the partnership or the relationship. And so when Coleman came to us to say, "Hey, we were going to have you participate, but he doesn't want you to join in," I'm like, "Well, wait a minute. That's not working with, friendly competition, and we're all under the same brand." Well, what he did was he just said, basically, "We're going to pay the money. They don't need to join in." So in my spirit of confidence and perseverance, I created a team. We went and had our shirts done. And if you can see it, if you enlarge it on the back of our shirts, it says open on Sundays. So I guess the point here was if you're in Utah, the majority of your businesses are not open on Sundays. The guy that owned this business could not be open on Sundays because he was in downtown Salt Lake. I was in the suburbs. So that was our team walk of letting all of the public know we still are Pandora. We're still participating, but guess what? We're open on Sundays. So, I mean, that's where we were still doing community, but we were not going to let someone else kind of step in and step over on top of us. So that was our little rebellion there. But Pandora ended up actually closing those businesses. Instead of selling them at the time, this is where, if you look at the next one, they really started dropping off. What happened was, here again, going into it, they started doing online sales, online presence, and what ended up as a poor model, we would go ahead, have to keep an extremely high inventory. People would come into the store, we would pay that sales person to sell that bracelet, whatever the case, they'd say, I'll just go home and I'll buy it online. or in true Pandora fashion, the whole family would join in buying mom or sister or somebody a bracelet, and they could never make a decision. So then they'd all go online and look together. So I saw the handwriting on the wall and said, time to get out of it. So this was back in about 2017. So I had always hoped to open up a HVAC company really for helping my brother at this point in time. The problem was I saw him as being a gas piper, an aid guy. And a lot of our guys in the trades, that's exactly what they do. They work so, so hard, but yet they don't necessarily build, or they don't build a company or even build a life for themselves. So let me help you do this. Well, unfortunately, he is very much the technician's mentality. So in his mind, all he wants to do is he just wants to go to work. He doesn't want to build a company. He doesn't want to have to deal with this, deal with that. So I'm fine. I'm starting the company and you can be my number one guy. So that's how I started. So while I had these Pandora jewelry stores in 2 different states, I also started Eagle Pipe and Mechanical. And we started out with gas piping, him and I together. I'd be in Salt Lake. I'd be selling a Pandora bracelet. He'd call me. I'd say, excuse me, turn it over to my sales associate, go back to my little tiny, tiny office and say, hey, you need a permit. How do I do that? Like, where do I pull a permit? What information do I need? And I'd go online and call them back 15 times. How many connections, how many this, how many that. Okay, boom, you have your permit. So this was all taking place back in 2015, June, July, August. Finally, I said, I can't keep doing this pace. I'd be a week in Boise, I'd be a week in Salt Lake. I'm trying to help him out. So I ended up hiring a office assistant. And when she came in, she really helped me move my company forward. And actually, with her help, we started learning the business. We said, hey, let's get smart. We have to do some HVAC here. Gas piping can only go so far. Let's break into the HVAC industry. So here we go. Eagle Pipe Heating and Air, because we are Eagle Pipe Mechanical. But people are like, well, do you work on my car? Like, what do you do? We're like heating and air. So we were lucky enough to start out. We started out in a little barn next to my property. We grew that and ended up going into it. We have like a real live warehouse now. You can see shades of it in the back. A real live warehouse with real people. We have about 14 employees. I interviewed yesterday, hoping to add another one. This is probably missing about 4 of our service trucks. So these are like our big gas piping trucks and a plumbing van and a little run. So we have another 4. So we actually have about 7, 8 vehicles on the road running. So we became Eagle Pipe Heating and Air. So that's kind of the journey. And I think and we can get into questions because anytime I say McDonald's, people have a million questions, or Pandora, how can I get that charm bracelet? But the interesting part is, how can I take? Would you like an apple pie with that? Would you like a larger fry? That was upselling. Hey, let's go to Pandora. You start out with the gold $10,000 bracelet. Then, oh, well, that's not quite in their budget. Let's go to the 2-tone. Okay, well, it might be the $65 sterling silver bracelet, but you know what? You need to have 2 clips and a safety chain, and this is what's recommended. So I don't care what you're selling. I don't care if you're selling a hamburger. I don't care if you're selling a bracelet, or I don't care if you're selling an entire system of a ductless mini split or whatever the case may be. You want to take a look at your opportunities. You want to have your KPIs. You want to drive your individual sales associates, technicians, comfort advisors to do the best they can for the customer. At the end of the day, that's really what we're in business for. So this journey has allowed me to have so many really cool roles within the industry. So as president of Women in HVACR, that was such an honor. I'm coming up on the end of my presidency and I'm like, oh, I feel like I'm just getting started. This organization is one I joined as a member in 2018, and I was fortunate enough to serve on the board in, oh my gosh, I have to go back to 2022 is when I first served on the board. 2023, I was vice president. 2024, I was president. As we roll into next year, I'll be past president. So I had really kind of a quick entry into it. There have been many folks that have spent, 6, 8, 9 years. And I think it's all where we're at in different stages of how much time and effort. I will say that this one has taken a lot of my time and effort this year because this is a huge year of change for us. This is an organization that has done so well with all of the folks that have been very successful with creating it from the time Ruth King founded it to where we're at. When I took it over in 2024, I took an amazing, well-ran organization. And now my role on the business side of things is to elevate it. Because if I look at a lot of the past presidents, they haven't necessarily ran a company before, been responsible for employees and or had to answer on the P&L on the balance sheet. So I took this role pretty seriously. So I've gone a little bit crazy on changes. And based on my board meeting, I think I've kind of pushed some of my folks over the edge with the sheer amount of changes that I have been trying to make. I'm looking at this in terms of making movements for longevity. How do we sustain? And, it's the same thing as you are Lady Titans. How do you sustain your organization, not only positioned for growth, positioned for sponsorship? How do you acquire amazing women to serve on your board that can help you move this organization forward? And we look at the same things. For the first time, we hired an executive director, Amy O'Grady, who came to us, started in April. So she's actually going to be able to really help us for the future, position us. I think some of the changes and the movement we've made with mentorship, acquiring and using software called Mentor City has been a great move for us. It does a lot of the matches, a lot of different things, and hopefully you'll be able to join us in Dallas October 21st through the 23rd, because then you'll be able to see a lot of the different things that we go through. And we made a lot of promises. I made a lot of promises last year. One of my promises was that I wanted to work closer with Lady Titans, women in plumbing and piping, and hopefully on a couple other of these slides, we're going to fulfill that. And we want to work together. So WIP is another organization. And again, we don't look as like competition, like, ooh, women in HVACR versus Lady Titans. We all want to work together. There are so many of us that when we come together as a group, we can be so powerful. So Women in Plumbing and Piping is one of the organizations that I joined. I know Angie Snow is also on the board. And it kind of worked out perfectly. You know how you have those opportunities. I started applying there. So heck, now I'm with Women in Plumbing and Piping. And so good move, because not only can I talk more about plumbing, because now I'm day-to-day hands in, having to understand everything that makes that business work. But then I can take my experiences from not only my journey and the moves that I have made, but also women in HVACR. So to give you an idea, WIP has about 300 members and they're growing. They started, it'll be 2 years actually in November. And so they're making moves in terms of not only sponsors, but having great opportunities for all these scholarships. Both of these organizations, we do 6 $5,000 scholarships with women in HVACR. WIP, they just completed, I think they had another 5 scholarships. They're about 2,500 a piece that we just voted on. So we take a look at the impact we're making for people that want to get into the trades. And I guess one of the things that I can't wait for that's up and coming, and we can talk more about it, is 80s ladies in the trades. And that's why when I saw everybody come on with their backdrop, I'm like, I need one of those. So I'm so excited because Lady Titans, I mean, way to go. What a cool idea. Women in HVAC, participate, women in plumbing and piping. I think I'm just going to stand in the middle and have like the trifecta. I'm like, okay, part of all of this, because you know what? This is how we make moves and have opportunities. So I can't wait. I'll be at Pantheon the whole time. We will be in a booth, Women in HVACR. We're actually partnering up with Goodleap. And so it's exciting stuff. Last week, I was at the Service Titan Elite Trades, and I'm not sure how many on this call are very familiar with that, but what an amazing opportunity. And if you haven't investigated it, check it out. I was so excited to see Vanessa Gonzalez last week. She was there, Angie Snow, a couple of the rock stars that really have made that come to life. And I played a little bit different role. We had a booth there to represent women in HVACR, but this year they added a little bit different twist. So this is like the Olympics for our HVAC, our plumbing, our auto mechanics, and our electricians. And last year there were, I want to say, 2 women that were the electrical apprentice. We didn't have any women in plumbing or HVAC. This year we were so excited to have one young lady, Robin. So to talk about her journey, and we're actually going to see if we can bring her into Dallas and highlight her at our conference. But she was one of 8,000 that applied to get in on the HVAC apprenticeship. Out of the 8,000, she ended up being one of 10 apprentices that was able to fly into West Palm last week and participate in the competition. She was the only female in HVAC, and there were no female in plumbing. And I think there was still one in on the electrical side. So she didn't place in the top 3, but I was like, who cares? My gosh, the fact that you were one out of 8,000 and you were the only female there representing us in the HVAC space is amazing. Next year, oh my gosh, can she go and just knock them? Because she will know and understand a lot more of what that competition is about. She's actually a service technician, and what she was doing in the competition was installing. So it just really kind of gave her a feel for what it's about. So we did a interview with her, and also during all of this, I had the privilege to talk to teachers, coaches, educators for 2 days, Thursday and Friday. Did a roundtable, talked about what it was like to be in the trades, talked a little bit about not only some of my staff, some of the things that have helped me be successful in the trades. When we were done, we had a lineup of teachers at our booth. So what I will tell you is take a look at your teachers that are educating your students, because what we sensed was a group of them were ready to jump ship and come join the trades because they saw unbelievable opportunities, not only from a financial perspective, but the different avenues that they can go into the trades. And that's what we're really trying to do. So I just want to make sure we have plenty of time for questions and kind of turn it back over to you and open it up, because that was a lot of information quickly.
It was a lot of information. And so we do want to open up the floor for questions. So if you have one down in the chat, if you want to raise your hand, we want to answer all the questions that you have. But Lori, so much good stuff there, and a variety of life experiences and knowledge. Now I think I know the answer to this one, but of all the industries you've been in, which one's the best industry?
Oh, the one I'm in right now.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. Oh, correct answer. But what I will tell you, this was the difference. When I started with McDonald's, I used to call them my McFamily, because that's what it felt like. We would do a worldwide convention every 2 years, and you would meet all these different franchisees from all over the world. And you might not see them for 2 years, but they were your friends. And everybody was so willing to help. We would bring in new folks that, oh, they thought they wanted to be a McDonald's franchisee. Well, hey, come spend a couple days with me, and you'll either make it or break it. And we'll see if you really have the perseverance to do this type of job. But everybody open up their hearts, open up their businesses, open up their books. I went to Pandora. I couldn't even get a P&L out of those folks. And I'm thinking, I'm going to invest millions of dollars and I don't know what I'm running into here. But it's like a little faith, a little luck. And then again, talk about confidence. It was like, well, I can make it work. Well, heck, it was a struggle. And that's why I ended up getting out of that. And I should just say retail, but actually that model. This industry, we are so wide open. I just wish I was about 30 years younger because watch out. I'm coming at the end of it. And I'm like, okay. But I always say it's just such an amazing opportunity. And it really comes down to what do you want to do? Do you want to be an owner? Do you want to be an operations manager? Do you want to, own a roofing company? I don't care what it is. This group and the other groups that I talked about, these are all the folks that can help you get there. We do mentoring. I mentor a service technician. She's probably one of my favorite. Have to do it on either a Saturday or Sunday because she's so busy working Monday through Friday. I mentor a business owner and I also mentor an operations manager. So the three of them give me great varieties of kind of pulling tricks out of my bag to say, how can I help you be successful? All of these groups, we all mentor, we all network. And I think that's the beauty of this industry.
For sure. One of the things you said in one of your first slides is, don't wait until it's perfect. And, that's one of my personal mottos is like, perfectionism is really procrastination in disguise, and sometimes that it not being perfect can keep you from making moves or from doing something different because it's not quite perfect or I don't have this one piece figured out. But like you said, like, it's a lifelong lesson and like, hey, I'm going to jump and I'll kind of figure it out along the way. So what might be one piece of encouragement that you would give some of these ladies to kind of make that move and maybe don't wait until it's perfect? I know in our last spotlight series and kind of in our lounge, we had some discussions of possibly like feeling stuck exactly where they're at right now and like, should I make that next move? Should I change this because of whatever reason? So, what might be some encouragement or advice you might give someone who is feeling stuck or afraid to make that next move?
I think reach out. So we have phenomenal coaches in the industry, whether you get a paid coach or whatever the case may be, reach out. Barry's on this call, Power Selling Pros. Oh my gosh, can they help with so many different areas? I mean, you take a look at all the things you can learn from Service Titan. It just blows my mind when I get on there. I'm like, I don't know if I have headspace for this continual learning, but you need to reach out because all of us are stuck. I was at John Maxwell training and I'm like, okay, I mean, obviously I can speak. I'm not always that great in front of 1,000 people because I go off topic. That's my problem, obviously, on this presentation. And so I go to John Maxwell and I'm thinking, okay, I need to learn this so I can be a better speaker because I need to stay on topic and I want to make sure. But the whole point is I'm reaching out. I'm saying, you know what? I want to be better at this. And so we need to be able to help and support you. I don't care where you're at. John Maxwell had a speaker, was it Dan Martell? Buy Back Your Time. Oh my God, what a great book. Buy Back Your Time. Well, I've been buying back my time for a long time with, if I need somebody to do my yard work or if I need somebody to clean my house. That book really started putting things in perspective because one of the things is you're not hiring just people to do a job. You're hiring people to buy back your time so you can work in your best area. I mean, Emily, you're classic example. Look at how creative you are. If you had to go out and just do trade shows all day long, we can't see all that creativity and the amazing things that you bring to all of us when you're doing the Emily, whether it's designing or creating. So I guess the best piece of advice, don't be afraid to reach out. I went into this industry going, well, I can, have a $10 million company. I should figure it out. I was waiting too long. I needed people to come out and help me. I still need people to help me. I hired a virtual assistant life-changing. Life-changing. I can't get through my 18,000 emails, but she can. And she can categorize and she can file and she can give me pending and urgent and control my calendar. Reach out if you're stuck. Every single one of us are more than happy to help you and help you get where you want to go. Because that's what are we here for?
Well, and I think that's
That's what we do.
also, we all have something that we can give to help someone else. Like, hey, I've been there, but then there's also people that we need to, hey, I want to get there. So how can you help me get there? So I think we should be giving and taking in our own personal experiences and what we want to learn. Down in the chat, Ashley said we got to be brave enough to suck at something new. You got to embrace the suck. And I think you appreciate when you suck at something and then you overcome it, or it was really hard, but then you figured it out. You appreciate the other side so much more when it has been a struggle or something to really overcome. Yeah.
I'm looking at some of these chats. This is so funny. It's like, hey, I remember that uniform. Okay, you're my age, girl. But yeah, so yeah, it's been an interesting journey. You kind of reflect, and I don't know that I would have changed anything. If I was going to change something, it would have been I would have probably not moved forward with Pandora. I should have jumped right into the trades right when I sold my company because I always think not only would I be further ahead, I would have had a heck of a lot more money, and money kind of moves companies quicker. But the other thing is just the amount of time because I was in and out. I was part time, I was in, I was out. And so I would have moved into the trades a lot earlier than when I did. So
Yeah.
yeah, I always wish I found the trades when I was younger. Absolutely. And then I think about, wow, I could have been here, there, everywhere. So we're actually, I want to say we're moving a little bit slower. I have had people come in and said, oh my gosh, you should be at this level or this level or this level. And I'm thinking, well, I'm not a generational company. The majority of companies are generational or they've had dad or brother or someone that has whether and not saying they haven't worked hard because they've probably worked extremely hard and they have to overcome that whole family dynamic. But it's a little bit different when you step out there and you go like, okay, I now own a company and like, what am I doing? And so going to my supplier and going, okay, BDR was one of the ways that we started because I'm like, I need to understand this. I don't understand, the pricing and the labor and, the efficiencies and just training myself so I understood what made sense to do HVAC replacement versus all this new construction where I'm the banker all the time. And so here again, reach out, find out, and yeah, move forward. And we're all here
I
to
know
help.
I know several women here on this call are in the HVAC industry. And so, how could someone get plugged in to women in HVACR? So I know you mentioned the mentorship is a huge part of women in HVAC and the scholarships that you do, that is absolutely phenomenal. So how could some of our Lady Titans who are in that HVAC world, how might they also get connected to your organization?
So there's many ways. The probably the easiest is to go to our website. And I don't know, Emily, if you want to drop it in the chat, but
Yep.
womeninhvacr.org. And so membership is $149 a year. In some cases, we have quite a few individuals. Like I know Carrier is a large sponsor with us, and they end up giving out some of those memberships to their contractors. But I would go to our website. You can sign up, see how you can become a member. Once you're a member, that all opens up to you. If you join in on the mentoring, or you might be a mentee or a mentor. So there are some phenomenal folks on this call. You would be amazing mentors, and you can get signed up, and then you can decide too, what does that schedule look like for you? Can you devote an hour a month? Could you devote a half hour every 2 weeks? And you will learn from your mentee as much as they will learn from you. And so again, we use this software. It's called Mentor City, and it works great because the matches. It is very structured. It's not like doing? What's your week look like? How can I help you? It's extremely structured as you go in. My service technician, mm, about your job, tell me about you. What are your goals? Well, guess what? She went to Women in HVACR conference last year, met up with some of the reporters from ACHR News. That's a mouthful. And she met up with them and she said, "Hey, I'm really interested in writing articles." She now writes articles for them. And so part of my mentoring with her this summer was, how are you balancing being a service technician, working those 10, 12-hour days? She's in Ohio, the heat, the this, the that. You go home on the weekends, you're cutting your grass, you're exhausted. And now all of a sudden, oh, I need to do an article on refrigerants for the news. So, what's really your goal here? Where her goal is, she wants to work for the news, or she wants to be an editor, she wants to be a writer. So, what did we do? We immediately connected her with folks in the industry. With these folks in the industry, they're talking to her about her presence on social media. They have talked to her about getting connected with podcasters. I'm pulling in these professionals on a Saturday morning that we can help her get to where her goal is at. So that's what mentorship can do for you. And then I saw in the chat, so women plumbing and piping, a lot of the same things they do. I'm not mentoring on that side because I think when Emily read my bio, I was like, okay, I'm tired. So I might get into more of that mentoring when I have more plumbing under my belt. But I think it's something where get involved. We have an endowment. Our goal is to raise $1 million. And so there's going to be a special announcement when we have our conference because we have been lucky enough to pull in a very large sponsor to help us with the endowment. The more money we can put in endowment, the more scholarships we can provide. And then it can be self-funding. Right now, we'll take that $30,000 out of our operating budget to make sure we cover that. In the next year or two, we'll be able to pull that out of the endowment. So you've got mentorship, you have networking. We're doing regional meetings. We're trying to get across the country, work with our suppliers and say, hey, let's have a regional meeting. If you can't travel to Dallas or if you can't be somewhere else, let's bring it to you. I did one in Atlanta. It was great. We ended up having a lot of suppliers, distributors. We want more contractors. We need the folks that are working in the industry day in and day out. How can we help and support you? And when you take a look at what the elite trades are all about, that's what it's for. It's to elevate and celebrate those amazing folks that get out there every single day and work so hard to make all of us successful in the industries we're in.
Yeah. Well, fantastic stuff. And guys, Lori's mentioned it a few times, but if you are looking for to connect more with women in HVACR, they are having their annual conference October 21st through 23rd in the great state of Texas, where I'm from. So in Dallas, Texas, it'll be a great time. I've heard lots of sneak peeks about all the events and the breakout sessions and things that they're going to have, and it's going to be a fantastic time. And so I know Lori would love to connect with any of you guys, and it's a wonderful organization. And that's what we're all about here, empowering women in the trade so that we can all persevere, rise, find community to share these similar struggles. And I want to end us with what I'm going to say is the nearest and most exciting part is our 80s Ladies in the Trades party. So you will see Lori there. Okay. We are partnering with Women in HVACR. It is going to be a fantastic time at the roller skating rink. Get your 80s attire ready. Okay. I've been looking at some wigs. Okay. I might need a wig to help me get in the 80s mood. We're going to have a glow in the dark face painter with some fun glitter and things like that. We're going to have some fun snacks, Coke floats, popcorn, things like that. Tons of glow in the dark stuff. It's going to be a real amazing time as we partner with Women in HVACR and Women in Plumbing and Piping. And so if you have not signed up already, click that link that we did right there, the link tree there, and it'll give you a link to register for the party. It has passed the due date to be guaranteed swag and be guaranteed a shirt, but we have ordered a good bit extra. So your chances of getting some really cool stuff is very good. So I would say don't wait until day of. Okay. We're going to see the majority of you there at Pantheon, but go ahead and sign yourself up for this after party, and you'll see Lori there. Now, Lori, you going to be skating?
Oh, absolutely.
All right,
You know
girl.
what? you can put me on roller skates. I used to be, you know, I loved figure skating. So I think I can probably, I might be tripping over myself a few times and, you know, help grandma up when she falls. But no, I'm looking forward to it. I participate in all that. Can't wait.
Yes. Well,
Can't
Lori,
wait.
thank you so much for sharing your wealth of knowledge and your experiences with us. I know we were all able to find a lot of value. And Barry, thank you for being here and to Power Selling Pros for us to be able to further our mission and bring excellent speakers like Lori here to the Lady Titans. So, guys, this will be our last spotlight series before we see you at the 80s party. So, have a fantastic week and we will see you guys soon. Bye.
All right. Thanks, everyone. Thanks for your time.
Thank
Great
you.
job, Lori.
Thank you.